How's it going, everyone? KingBlackToof here. So recently we just got off the developer stream and a lot of information has come out. So there's a lot of cards revealed, and if you would like to view them, you can view them on the website here where you can look at them. If you missed that information, you can go to the website playgwent.com and it'd be very simple and easy to see where it is from the main page. Okay, so the main information you probably want to know is when are we getting these new cards, and it's mid-December. So probably after the particular tournament that's happening in December, the Challenger, sometime around then. They were not specific, but that's because they want to give themselves a bit of leeway. How many new cards are we getting? We're getting over 100, more specifically about 109-ish. Thank you, Pavel. And they're split between all neutral and the 5 factions. We're not getting any information about new faction. This includes 2 leader cards for each faction, as well as special cards and units and all that kind of stuff. We're going to go into some of my thoughts of the stuff that we've seen today, but we'll also probably get a UI change that's coming in, a technology change that's coming in. I would imagine with this release of 100 new cards, we'll also get the new game mode, which I think is looking very likely to be a form of arena, a form of draft, where you get a selection of cards to choose from and you build your deck from a selection of cards, because that mechanic is starting to kind of come in anyway, so it kind of would be quite easy to program it after that, I would imagine. We can start to probably expect all of that kind of stuff coming in with the next big update, I would say. That's not confirmed. The confirmed stuff is we're getting 100 plus new cards, and it'll be released mid-December. I want to just give my thoughts on not necessarily each of the new cards, but the big major things that are coming through, and I'll review the cards in some other video, I think. So one of the main things that you'll notice when you look at this particular website with new cards is that nothing has a row anymore. Everything just seems to have its base strength, and that's it. So what we'll see is, I think, they're kind of, everything is agile. Now, we've known this for quite a while, but I never actually thought every single thing would be agile. This is not guaranteed that everything is, but everything that's been revealed today, which is about 20, is either a special card or it's got no row attached to it. Now, they're not going to do away with rows completely. This was something that was mentioned. Rows are very important, and they're going to keep it. It's an integral part of Gwent. But it just seems like everything is agile. It doesn't seem to be there's any form of preferred row indicated on the card, which is where you would have that particular thing indicated, unless it's on the row itself. I still think there's potential to have a preferred row, and it would make a lot more strategy. But maybe it could be like melee, you get +1 strength. Range, you get +1 attack, or you get to attack for 1 damage. And on the siege, you get to, I don't know, heal a unit or something, you know, because that would kind of split it into melee is at the front of the fight, range is kind of the archers, and the back is kind of the siege. And they could do that, and they could tie it to the board. But at the minute, we don't know anything about that. It's all purely speculation. What we do know is that it doesn't seem to be related to the card itself. So not every card is going to be different, which is interesting. It's still nice, something to look forward to if that's a big change. So following on from this, using big words like furthermore, we have got one particular special card that has appeared, which is the militia, peasant militia. If I zoom in for you, you can see it a bit better, hopefully. This card is presenting some really weird questions, and Pavel purposefully avoided this card on the request of Rethas, but it's a special bronze, right? And it fills a row with peasants. Now, we know due to the developer stream, the peasants are 1 strength, no ability units. Probably doomed and stuff, like all the cows and stuff that we see from Germana Fox Hollow, etc. But it fills a row, which would kind of indicate that rows are limited to the amount of units. Now, since this is the bronze card, normal value is about 10 to 14. So we can probably hazard a guess that this will limit units on a row to about 10 to 15 units on a row maximum. I think it's more likely to be 10 because 15 is quite high for a bronze. It's very vulnerable to things like Stamble Forward and Lacerate, of course. But it does provide massive synergy with things like Yennefer, things like with like Kedwani's siege supports, unless they've changed. Everything is subject to change. So, you know, these things could gain massive value but are very risky. But the fact is that it fills a row. So it seems like we're limited on a row now, which might, I don't think we generally get into that particular instance very often. Maybe movement, square tail, where they Zoltan everything to a row and then hailstorm. That might have an issue, or maybe Arrakis if they spawn tons and tons and tons of Arrakis hatchlings on a row. But most of the time, I mean, do you get prevented about putting new units on a row, or so there's a big question there with filling a row and maximum limit, and what does that mean for the rest of the game. Now within this patch we saw the beginnings of a lot of cards which are very RNG heavy. These are a lot of cards which people are likening to Hearthstone cards, as the obvious comparison, but it is very, RNG heavy. It's not controllable RNG too much either, some of it. A classic one that we saw is Saskia Dragonfire here. 8 strength gold that you banish your hand and you draw cards equal to the amount that you banished. So, I mean, there's not a whole lot of synergy around that. Some people are creating ideas. There's one particular idea floating around with another card for Nilfgaard down below, where he buffs based on the amount of alchemy cards in your deck. Initially, when you're in the deck builder, he kind of gets extra benefits. So you put loads of them in and then you banish them from your hand during the game and get units, and they're really, really strong. But, I mean, the thing about this is, and my feelings towards this is, it's okay, I think. If I look at Saskia Dragonfire on her own, banish your hand and draw that many cards, seems kind of bad. It seems like a bit of a trash thing. Why would you ever want to do that? There's not really many mechanics or many tactics that we can really see at the minute which really work with that. The one that I mentioned a minute ago is kind of memey, won't really be feasible, I don't think. So that makes this card okay. I think this card is specifically built for the new game mode, which is a draft or arena, where it could be, decent if you've got, some cards in your hand that you really don't want. You can play this card and draw some more from your deck. You might be limited to a minimum of 40 cards or something crazy like that. But so I think if this card is built for those that are the game mode, it's bad enough that it won't affect standard in a massive RNG way, which is really good. That's what we want. We don't want Pro Ladder and Gwent Challenger and Pro Gwent Slam and all that being affected by RNG in a heavy way. And the fact that this is bad, that it won't get affected, that it won't affect standard, is a good thing. But it might affect the new draft or the new game mode that we're going to get later in a fun way. So I fully appreciate this card, and I don't think it's a bad thing that this card has come in and cards like it. So with the introduction of these cards that we got shown one particular item card. Now, we've seen some item cards before. We saw the Cursed Sword and also Sihil, those two swords. So this is a bronze special card, and it's the Wyvern Scale Shield. It boosts a unit by the initial power of a unit in your hand. Now, some of these things are different to the developer stream, and then I'm pretty sure it's a base strength in the developer stream. But either way, unless it probably, it's just be base strength in your hand. But this is just another type of item card. So we kind of know what item cards do now, mainly. We've got an idea now. It's nothing massively outlandish like we initially thought it might be. It's a slot in your deck builder where you put an item and it affects a row, or it's a big boon that you can equip to a row. And we had loads of cool ideas, but it effectively just looks like a special card with an item tag that might be relevant later. This affects cards on the board. You boost a card on the board for the base power of a card in your hand, is how we expect it to work. Which kind of basically just looks like a bit of a stronger Swallow Potion, a more variable Swallow Potion. The highest strength card in your hand is probably a 13 at the minute. It looks like it can do golds like Geralt, Manticore and stuff. So we can probably assume that Cursed Sword and Sihil will do things probably based around your, you equip it to a card on the board based on something in your hand or something like that. So we've got an idea of what item cards do, and they're very simple. They're basically special cards with a tag of item that do slightly different things. So a little disappointing in that respect, but we'll have to see what others do. This is a very simple one. This is a bronze. Fully expect the cursed one and the Sihil one to be silvers and golds and stuff. So this is a very simple one, so maybe they'll be a bit more exciting. So here we've got a new card, Eastern Grim Outlaw, and this demonstrates a new ability that's coming to Gwent. Okay, and there's a lot of other cards. There's quite a lot of other cards that have this type of ability, mechanic, should I say. And if you've played Hearthstone, it's effectively the Discover mechanic. They haven't named it yet, and this is a really important thing because if you read that ability down there, which I've left on for you, you wouldn't know what this card does. It says it just spawns a silver special card, but I think they need to name it something. Discover, you know, Explore or something. Because what it does, if you don't know what a Hearthstone Discover mechanic is, it's effectively where you get presented with a couple of cards and you get a choice and you choose one. So in the case of spawn a silver special card, you get the game lumps all special cards in the game, lumps them all together, and then randomly presents you with 3 to choose from, and you choose one of them to spawn and play. Okay, so it's massively RNG heavy. You can get a Scorch, you could get a D-Bomb, which is useless to you, you could get an Aeromancer, you've got no weather, you could get a Last Wish, but you've got no cards left in your deck. You know, there's a lot of variability, especially with silver special cards, which is quite huge. And this brings me on to the other mechanic which is coming in as well, that they're bringing in. Now, we've kind of already seen it a little bit, but it was really like we had these abilities, this mechanic, in when it was first announced at E3, which is the choice mechanic. Again, choose one. We've kind of already got this with Mardrum and, you know, Kira and stuff, but they're really focusing on it. There's a lot of cards with choice abilities as well now, to give them a lot more flexible abilities. So he can spawn a silver special card with the kind of Discover mechanic, or he spawns a silver square tile unit, and this is the same as the Discover as well, even though it doesn't read that way. You get all the silver square tile units, and then it presents you with 3, and you spawn one to play. So it could be Elias, which is kind of rubbish. It could be Barclay Owls, and you have no dwarves, or you do have loads of dwarves, and it's a massive play. It could be Hattori, and you've got nothing in the graveyard. You know, there's a lot of things that are bad, and some things are good, and it could be, you know, Barclay Owls could be massively bad and massively good. So, you know, choice is really important. That's why you get presented with 3, but it's a big RNG, wide spectrum. So when, like, my feelings towards this card is it's a nice card. I'm really excited about this card, but that's because I'm the type of player that likes these kind of things. RNG, a bit of RNG. You know, I play out a Sage deck, for God's sake. But I think a lot of people are thinking this is not a good card because it's too risky. It's a gold slot, and, you know, you might as well put something in there which is going to be good. There's a card for Skellige which is like this, but is it worth doing when you've got a lot of golds already filled in, like Coral and Madman Lugos and stuff? But again, this is going to be another card that is possibly great, an excellent choice for that new game mode of draft or thing. But so personally, these cards excite me a lot because, again, they're probably not good enough or consistent enough to play in standard, unless you're pretty lucky or the particular pool is small. I mean, if silver square tile units was quite small, you could probably get consistently 2 Barclay Owls or something, you know, which would be quite a decent play maybe. But they seems bad enough that it probably won't affect standard and pro ladder and Gwent Challenger, but would actually be quite good in the new game mode, which is exactly what we spoke about earlier. So this card makes me excited, and cards like this make me excited to try, but it might not be for everyone. Some people might not like it because probably won't affect ranked too much, but you know, I think it's a great introduction. Try something new, but I think they really need to name this Discover type mechanic, you know. Right, so just adjusted the resolution because he wouldn't fit, but a new mechanic which is coming in, which is also quite exciting, but this one does have a name. It's the Duel mechanic. You can see here on Seltkirk, and Seltkirk is one of the best premiums. I think he's amazing. I like him a lot. But basically, he duels an enemy and he's got 3 armor. Now, let me explain what duel is, because as far as I'm aware, you place this card down and it will do damage to a unit that you choose equal to his strength, right? So I don't think it's base strength. I think you can buff him. So you can probably Foltest and Royal Decree, and he gets up to 10 there. But he does damage to a unit based on his base strength or his strength. But then, if that unit is not dead, he attacks this unit back for his strength, current strength. Okay, so if I had this 7 strength unit and I hit an 8, he would go down to 1, but then he would hit that 1 strength onto Selkirk. But then I think it goes back and forth until a unit is dead. Okay, so Selkirk will do 7 damage. Whatever that unit is left on in strength will do damage to Selkirk. If Selkirk is still alive, it'll do his current strength damage to that card. That card will, if it's still alive, do damage to Selkirk, and it'll keep going back and forward until one of them is dead. This seems like a reasonably strong card because it's got 3 armor, so you know you can easily get no damage done to you. You can buff it with Royal Decree and maybe Foltest to get 10. It does seem like cards with armor, like Trollolo, would be a massively bad target to hit because you would hit his armor, then he'd whack you for an 11, which is crazy. But it's such a cool idea. Now, it's a little unclear whether it does keep going back and forth, but I'm pretty sure it does because it makes sense in the theme of the card. And it's better, then it just stops it being a simple wounding mechanic. Keeps going back and forth, keep doing damage until someone dies. I really like that thematically, and it's a very interesting tactic. It's good removal. A little bit of a risk, but, you know, he's got 3 armor, so you can feasibly attack someone who is 10 strength and take no damage from it, which is cool. But obviously you don't want to attack people that got armor as well. Now, one thing we don't know is, which I mentioned a while ago actually, is that we don't know particularly how fast the duel happens. Okay, it could be that you attack, you play the card and you enter a duel with that particular other card and you do damage to him, and on the opponent's next turn he does damage to you, and then on your next turn you do damage back, and then on his next turn you do damage, and it takes more turns to do it rather than just it all instantly. You know, I think I'd like the turn business. I would like that because then it gives you a chance to change things, like to do a little bit of buff, or you know, it'd be nice if they were immune when this happens, so it turns the units immune so you can't damage them by other means because it's a duel one-on-one, but you can buff them or something. You know, I think I like that idea. I think it's much better than just doing it straight away. But yeah, really exciting particular ability coming here. We've got to find out the fine-tuning of how it exactly works, but it's a really nice thing. I think it's really exciting. So the next thing that's really kind of big that we saw from the reveal so far is there's a new keyword coming in called immune, which we really thought, I was kind of thinking it could come in, but I thought it would come in with Noon Race. But it's on this werewolf card here, 7 strength bronze for monsters. It's immune, means it can't be targeted directly. They could probably still get scorched, probably can still get ignied. It's been confirmed that it can get hit by like area of effects like Stammelfords or Lacerate and stuff, but it can't be targeted by Alzor, which is kind of really interesting. And this actually seems like quite a strong card, actually. 7 strength, and strengthens by another 7 on contact with Moonlight. So first of all, no regressing. Massively subject to change, of course. Some of these numbers are wrong compared to the developer screen. I don't know which one's right. And Moonlight is probably some form of boon. Now, it's been commented that maybe it's a boon that's good for some and bad for other things, you know. Probably not, I would say. But yeah, it would turn these guys to 14. There's no indication they would lose it. Really seemingly strong. Now, the difficulty would be is we don't know if Moonlight is bronze, silver, or gold. And, you know, if you put 2 of these on the unit and they go to 14, probably an Igni or something. But they do seem strong, and the whole immunity means it's really kind of interesting and cool there. It means that you probably can't wound it either, though, but not that you would want to. But yeah, so new immunity, which opens up a lot of stuff. It means that there's really a lot of hope for things that are gold that were really shit, like Yennefer Conjurer and Triss Butterfly Spell. But I really don't think we'll get that because that makes them really good. But you know, new interesting mechanics coming in all the time, and there's a lot to take in on this new patch. So that's an interesting thing going on there, bringing back immunity for certain things. So I mean, that's generally my feelings on the new things that are coming in. Now, there's a couple of overarching feelings. I mean, I'm massively excited. I mean, 109 cards is going to really change the way the game is played completely. And, you know, the technology change is going to change everything. There's new abilities, new mechanics, you know, a lot of cards for new factions. A common thing we saw from the cards that we just got introduced, the 20 that were revealed, is that we saw a massive increase in Relict. So, you know, like you've got the Strigger here, the Relict, and he does certain damage. You've got the Weavess Incantation, which is also a Relict, a gold for Relict. And we also saw a massive burst to Cursed units across the board. So it's really nice that they're getting these archetypes that really need some specific golds and specific silvers to really bump them up. And it's nice that we're getting a massive influx there. And so we might see some other archetypes which are feeling a little let down start to get extra cards, because we've got a lot of cards left to reveal. Okay, so I'm really excited for this. I think there's a lot of good cards here, a lot of, well, some RNG cards. There are some bad cards here which are considered bad straight off the bat. But again, we don't know if the numbers are quite right. So I'm going to be reviewing them in different way. And this was just my general feeling, which I'm generally a good feeling about this. There's a lot of cool stuff coming, and a lot of potential for more reveals that we don't quite know, and understanding it is going to take a while. It's going to be quite an interesting journey for us. Thank you for watching. Take care. Now, remember, just before we go, that 109 cards are coming in about mid-December. They're going to be revealing more cards on this website, so check it regularly. But they will be doing developer streams to actually go through the cards themselves a little bit occasionally. So I imagine every couple of days, maybe every week, they're going to reveal another 20 cards. Okay. Thank you for watching this video. Take care, and I'll see you again very soon.